Welcome back, everybody. This is part 2 of my chat with Victoria, who she hates me calling her Victoria. To Vix, who hopefully you've listened to part 1 of this first. Vix has just in part 1 told us all about her mental health journey, what she went through, how she has got to where she is now. And now she has BTG, Bridging the Gap, which is a fabulous charity, which combines support through exercise, because she's a real big believer that exercise is also just as good for your mental health as is having counselling. Something she's extremely passionate about. So I'm going to throw it open to Vix again. She's like me, she's always got loads to say, so we do fight for the mic a bit. But I think it's really important that obviously I let her do all the talking on this.
Chewing the Cud at Halton Farms.
BTG is so important. I'm a trustee of BTG.
Yeah.
Before I was a director, because you had a CIC.
Before it was a CIO.
So what is, just say quickly what a CIC.
So a CIC is a community interest company.
Yeah.
Which is what I started originally.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I started that was, so after I'd had my breakdown and I went back to work, and at first I just wanted to just kind of brush it under the carpet. It was just like a blip. It was very out of character for me. Like, I remember my boss saying, it's just a bit of sadness and worry. It was fine. It was just because of your ankle. Let's just get back into it. I threw myself back into work, back into Young Farmers, back into life. Like, everything's going well. And then I just kept, veterinary industry, same as agriculture, has a real problem with mental illness and suicide. And we'd got a couple of vets that were off with stress and other situations. And then some of the nursing team were struggling and were talking to me about the fact they were struggling.
And you were a vet nurse at this point, weren't you?
Yeah. And we had the most amazing team, honestly, such a lovely team there. And we knew that we had a management are aware of the mental health issue. So what we would do is they were trying to do like team building stuff. So we'd maybe have like pizza days and cake on Fridays and things like that. And it was lovely, but it just wasn't really addressing the bigger issues of what was going on with people. So
would you say it was a bit like a sticking plaster?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was, and plasters, they do the job.
Yeah.
But it's not really addressing the root cause. And so I was kind of, I was just back being a vet nurse. And to be honest with you, I thought that's what I'd do forever. I thought it was my career. It was my vocation. I adored it. I loved it. I think even now you would struggle to say you'd find anyone that was more passionate than I was about doing it. And then every time I saw that someone had died, because I think once you are more mindful of it, you see it more. And you'd see someone in the farming community died, or you'd see something like, we're quite near to Stoke and there's a stretch of A500 that's has a real issue with it. Yeah. And it all felt a little bit like I could see it happening, but I was like, I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And then basically, another part of my story is for a little while, went to engineering college at Reeseheath, agricultural college. I'm sure lots of people have heard of that, and did land-based engineering. And was friends with a guy called Alistair on my course. And then when I left the course, I hadn't really spoke to him much. I was friends with him on Facebook, and sort of knew of him, knew of his family. His mum was in the horsey world, knew of them. And then one day I went onto Facebook and I saw that his mum had put an appeal out to say that Alistair was missing. And I just, such a weird thing, can't describe it. Just got this feeling in my gut that I was just like, oh God.
You knew?
I just, I don't know, can't describe. We weren't super close, I hadn't spoke to him.
Did you think or did you know he'd got mental health problems, or did you know? So you knew?
No. It was like at college, chatted to him like a bit, but he didn't, wasn't a super depressive person, or anything like that. It was just, just a friend from college. And then it then got posted a few days later that he'd been found on a beach in Scotland. He'd ended his own life. And that was a real oh God. And it's not, and I have to stress this, it's not that I found the charity in memory of Alistair or anything. It's not that. Have you ever had it where someone the same age as you gets diagnosed with cancer or dies of cancer? Or someone the same age as you, something happens? Well,
especially now for me, because I'm in my 50s, so it happens a lot more now.
I'm looking at this person who, to a lot of extents and purposes, has a very parallel life to me. And we'd clearly been going through something very similar at the same sort of time, and yet he was now dead and I'm alive and back thriving.
And neither of you at any point had said to one another, are you okay?
No, but we wouldn't, because we weren't close.
Right.
It wasn't a case of us being close. It was just this moment of like, well, why am I alive and he's dead?
Okay.
What happened?
Yeah.
How has that come to be?
Mm-hmm.
He's the same age as me, went to college together, both from rural families. Like, what is that? And then that kind of sparked my thing of like, right, someone needs to do something.
Yeah.
And I was for a little while, I just sat there going, someone should do something, because I know how to get better. I've done it. I've recovered from quite severe mental illness by using supported exercise sessions and counselling. Doing the two together turned my life around. I remember when I went back to my GP for a checkup, he was like, I can't believe this. He's like, how are you? Are you okay? And I was like, honestly, I'm all right. I'm back at work. I don't need your tablets anymore. I'm training 4 times a week. I'm good. How did you
get to that point though? There's a bit in the middle of how did you get to that? I'm training 4 times a week.
So this leads into it. So I knew that this worked. Alistair died, and then after that, his mum died. She also ended her own life.
Oh, that's so sad.
Expressed that she wanted to be reunited with Alistair, and she just really struggled after that. And at that point, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to do something about it. So what I had realised then was, so when I had my recovery, I went to that CrossFit gym. I got given that free membership, and that was a game changer, because at that CrossFit gym, and it's not unique to CrossFit, but community class-based gyms, when I walked in, I was met by people who were like, hiya, I'm so-and-so, who are you? Blah, 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 chatting straight away. So I couldn't just walk back out, because they'd all seen me then. I went in, I was looked after, everything was explained to me. I immediately became part of this community. Like, I was just welcomed in straight away. And I think I was really lacking that.
Yeah.
And so that then, the talking therapy was hugely beneficial and everything. But then I started looking forward to going to that every day.
Right.
And I was looking forward to that. So I would finish work. Sometimes I'd go before work. Sometimes I would go after. But I was really looking forward to it then.
Yeah.
I was going. And then, it was transformational. The community aspect of it, the hour away. And what I really liked as well was those people in that they knew nothing about my other life.
Right.
They were totally away from it. They knew nothing about agriculture. They knew nothing about my family, nothing about young farmers, nothing about anything of anything.
Yeah.
So no matter what was going on back there,
they
just knew me as the girl that came to the gym and lifted heavy weights because I was dead strong.
Right.
And that was it.
Okay, so you could be somebody probably not different.
Yeah, but no one cared about who you were outside of those doors.
Right.
It was just who you were on that day when you came in. You were just taken at face value, and it was really, really great.
Yeah.
And I was like, this place is magic. It's absolutely
how did you go back though? Because somebody sitting at home now, sort of going to where you were at one point, where you couldn't go to the shop and buy a loaf of bread and get off the sofa because you were paralysed with fear.
Yeah.
And what you describe as probably you were having a breakdown.
Yeah. So my medication was really important. And I talk about this a lot. With BTG, we believe in multimodal treatment. So if you are prescribed medication, take it.
Okay.
Right, take it. And I know no one wants to go on medication, but you wouldn't think twice about taking antibiotics if you've got an infected.
But would you say that if somebody was prescribing though psychotherapy or counselling or medication?
I would go for the counselling before medication.
Yeah.
But I think if your brain is poorly, which is what mental illness is, your brain's poorly, your brain's, you can think of it however you want, but your brain's not very well. For me, the most effective thing was medication, counselling and exercise together pulled me back from what was, I would say, almost beyond coming back. Okay. And I think if I'd have just done medication, I'd have got worse.
Yeah.
If I'd have just done counselling, I'd have probably improved, but
taken a long time.
To what end? Like, when does the counselling end? How do you get better? And then because I had the physical therapy, that's, because this is the thing as well that we try. That's my coping mechanism now. I still use it now. Honestly, and I absolutely hate it. God, Kaz, if there was something else I could do other than have to exercise my fat arse to feel better, I would do it. I don't want to do it, but it's the only thing that keeps my head sane. And I hate it. It's so hard.
Brilliant.
So I'm not going to say, oh my God, I love exercise. I want to do it every day.
I love putting on my leggings and running on the treadmill.
It's so hard. It's so hard to do it sometimes.
I know. But is it that sense of achievement when you've lifted that weight and that?
It's just, honestly, I can't. It's so multimodal. It's the community. It's the endorphins. It's the sense of achievement. It's the physical confidence in your body. Do you know, one of the big things for me was, not being in control of your own brain is one of the most terrifying things you ever experience. You think you're in charge of your own head, and actually, if you get poorly, you realise you're not. And I would stand in front of a bar, the same as I used to stand in front of my door, where my brain was saying, it's too dangerous to go out, it's too dangerous to go out, it's too dangerous to go out. And every time my brain would win, I didn't go out. Now, I would stand in front of a bar, and my brain would go, you can't pick that up. And then I picked it up.
Wow.
So my brain's wrong. Yeah.
So then you are getting back control of your brain.
Yeah. So by physically doing something that my head's going, you can't do that, I'm like, oh, maybe brain doesn't know everything.
That's like Steve Peters' book, Chimp Paradox. Yeah. So your chimp controls your brain.
Yeah.
And the naughty chimp sits on your shoulder saying you're not going to be able to do that.
And you can.
But you knock the chimp off.
Yeah. Yeah. And you pick it up. And then when you start combining that with, like I say, the social aspect, the endorphins that you get alongside it.
And that camaraderie with the people. Because in those situations, especially in like a gym that you go to, it's a CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
And it's very much a sense of camaraderie and people want people to do well, don't they?
Well, and that's what I do now. So I travel all around the country now, find those gyms, because it's not limited to just CrossFit. There are community class-based gyms. There's lots of them. It's just finding them. All gyms have a place, and I'm a big believer. And it's not just gyms we work with. Yeah. I had a lady when I very first started the charity, I sent to Zumba because the gym wasn't the right place for her. Yeah. But I wanted to get her out of a house, get her into a new community of people, and get her doing something different. So she went to Zumba. We'll fund cycling, swimming, running clubs, whatever, as long as it's activity based and it's in part of a community. That's what we do now. Yeah. That was how I started in there.
But just tell me though, how did you get to go from work after work? Yeah. Who or what happened that made you go to a gym?
So obviously the GP had said to me, try exercise. And I was like, right. So I thought I tried exercise and it didn't work. And I knew I was quite scared of being outdoors. And then one of the nurses that I worked with was doing CrossFit. Right. And she said, why don't you try this? Now I had ages before gone for a taster session and I loved it. But at the time I'd got so much on and it was just really busy. I'm super busy with work. I didn't pursue it. And then anyway, I was having obviously all this problem and I knew exercise was good and I remembered that I loved it. So I took all of my medication again. I was like, I'm going to give it one last go. Yeah. So take all my medication. I think I'd had a session. Yeah. Maybe that the day or the day before. And I'd said, look, I'm going to try and go to this. It's a big thing for me because it's in a group and I'm quite scared of people right now. And so I went back and I did that. I did the session and I always use this as an example. I lost the ability to see in colour, metaphorically. Right. But my entire life felt grey. And things that should have made me happy didn't. And when I was in the depths of that depression, if I'd have won the lottery, I didn't have the capacity to feel happy. And unless you've ever experienced it, you probably can't imagine what that's like. But you could have told me that I'd like just won the lottery or that, the best thing ever had happened. My brain didn't have the capacity to get that happiness.
To get that endorphin or that overwhelming.
Or looking forward to something. You're like excited. Yeah. Didn't have those. I couldn't do those emotions. I did that class and I felt excited to come back and do another one.
Wow.
And I had not felt that for so long.
That's powerful.
Yeah. But then sit down. So I've done another trial class, which I shouldn't have done, but another trial class. And I say, oh my God, this might be it. This might be what saves me. And I say, I want a membership. And at the time, I think it was £75 a month. And I can't afford afford anything.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not going to come and ask you for even more money.
Hey, you could have tried. I probably haven't got any, but
the guy, bless him, absolute angel, I think just looked at me and knew. Because I was like, I did the thing where I was like, oh, well, I might just I'm going to have to go away and think about it, whatever. And then basically just went, do you know what? Oh, God, I can't afford that. Just can't afford that. And it was like the rug was being pulled out from under my feet, because I was like, I thought I'd found something. I thought it was going to get better. And he just said, if you can't afford it right now, and then I ended up chatting to him, I think, and said, I'm off work at the minute. I'm just in a great place, blah, blah, blah. He said, if you can't afford it right now, just come for a bit. Just crack on with it. I'll give you this month free and see how you get on. And then if you enjoy it and when you can afford to pay, just pay.
So that was like somebody like I had been.
Yeah.
You'd come to me and you weren't okay.
Yeah.
And there was something I could do to help you. So I suppose really that's what he was doing as well.
Yeah.
He wasn't putting money first.
No.
And also maybe as well, that's probably a bit crafty marketing at the end of the day, because he was going to get you hooked as well.
And it is. It was a month's free trial.
Yeah.
And I've no doubt but then I did go back to work and I did pay. What I owed and for the month before. And so it was a win-win. And then what essentially happened was, once I'd gone back to work and I was doing great and everything, and then the gym was that I was a member of, that when I say these community gyms, they're very, very close knit, and the gym was starting to be in financial difficulty. And I knew that I wanted to set up this CIC. So that's like it's a company. It runs like a limited company, but it's got the community's best interest at heart. And I thought, that's perfect. That's what we do. Because I wanted to be able to do like programs for employers. That's what I initially set out just to do. I just thought I'll be able to go into workplaces, and if they've got someone that's signed off with stress or anxiety or depression like I was, I can find them a gym. I was going to just focus on Congleton, to be honest. I was like, I can bring them into CrossFit and get them some counselling and get them, and we'll put them through what I went through, and we'll get them back to work. That was what the plan was. And I thought, do you know what? I really need this CrossFit gym to stay open, because this is part of my business plan to be planning these sessions. So I bought into the gym. Well, I bought the gym with my money that I'd saved, which was probably not a good idea. But bought the gym and then realised that this nice guy was essentially doing this for lots of people. There was a lot of people in that community who were really struggling. So did he understand that doing exercise was good? Yeah. So it's Andy. He's a veteran. He struggles with PTSD and some other things, and he gets it. I think most CrossFit box owners, most community gym owners understand. Yeah. Because as soon as you see it in action, you know how well it works. And it's a big difference between, I think this is when people say, oh, exercise is good for mental health, it's quite important to know what kind of exercise. I think all exercise is good, but it's not all created equal. And just putting your headphones on and being by yourself, head down in a gym, just, doing bicep curls, I just don't think it's quite the same. Well, put it this way, if you'd have come back to me, so we talked in the first episode about you'd come to me, you weren't in a good place, I got you some counselling, I funded it. Yeah. You think it saved your life. I think you were a massive part of saving your own life. I only just gave you I gave you some tools. Yeah. You took them and you used them. Yeah. If you'd have then come to me, you just joked then and said, would I have come back to me and said, pay for a gym membership? If you'd have come back to me and said that, I would never have thought I would have done that to help you with mental health. Yeah. So I would have been a little bit more like, hold on a minute. Oh, why am I paying for gym membership? Because I would have assumed. Don't forget, I was thin at the time. Yeah, you were thin. You don't need to go to the gym. Yeah, but even if you said you wanted to go and lose weight, I'd be a bit like, well, I'm not paying for that. Yeah. I'll pay for your mental health and I'll help you that way. And if you can't make a mortgage payment, I'll help you out with that. Yeah. But I'm not going to help you to go to gym just so you can keep thin. I didn't really know that it would help me the way it did. Yeah, because I didn't understand the power
obviously I do now. I'm a trustee of the charity and I get it. I completely get it. And now I get it. It makes total sense because I work outside, ride horses. And I know if I didn't do those exercising things, I know when I sit in the office all day, I feel crap. My body swells up and I feel really crap. So I get it now. But back then,
Back then, didn't get it.
I wouldn't. I know how many other hundreds of thousands of people and employers in big businesses don't get that.
And they think it's all for physical health.
And
like I say, not all exercise is created equal. And just paying for a gym membership for someone that's not it.
No.
Getting someone into a community gym, like a class-based gym, even when they don't want to. Remember, I still have awful social anxiety. And it's really important that I go and attend classes with other humans.
Yeah.
Really important for my head to do that.
Yeah.
Even though I don't want to sometimes.
But does that help you because you run some of those classes, don't you?
I don't do many of them now. I'm obviously so busy working in the charity that I do all the admin for that gym in particular. But my main job now is just working for the charity. So I go and train in a gym that, I do own the gym, but I go and train in it just as a member. Which is actually really good from a boss point of view, being able to watch
what goes on.
Coaches work. It's great. But no, I go and train as a member as much as I can because I went through a stage not that long ago where I got quite poorly again because I wasn't training. I went through a bit of a rough patch where I wasn't training, and when I was going in, because the gym's mine, I can go whenever I want, I was just avoiding people because sometimes I get a bit peopled out. I've obviously got lots of things, I've got a funny brain and I get a bit peopled out, and especially if I've been busy doing meetings or talks and things like that. So I would just go in and train by myself. And then lo and behold, before I knew it, I was starting to cancel talks and stay at home more, and things were starting to go from very vibrant to a little bit grey again. And this time, this is the joy of what we do. I spotted it and I know how to make it better. So I made myself go to classes. I booked some therapy sessions. I had some counselling. I got back on some classes. I trained with people again. And I'm fine.
And it worked.
It worked. Works every time.
So it works.
I know how to spot the signs of it. I know how to get better.
And I think that's the really nice thing about what you do and what you've set up is because you've been on that journey.
Yeah.
So you're proof that journey can work.
Yeah.
Because you've experienced it yourself so many times.
Well, that's why I had to do it. Honestly, I was sitting there watching people dying, thinking, I've got the cure for, I know it's not the cure for everything, but it felt like I was watching people dying, knowing that potentially I could have helped that person.
Yeah.
If I could have got them into a gym, being supported either with some one-to-one sessions or as part of a community group and got them some counselling, they might still be here.
Yeah.
Especially for early intervention stuff, because this is what we're again about. Helping people when they are suicidal, it's so far down the line. It's so hard to help people from that point.
Yeah.
If we can catch them when they first get signed off, or when something first happens, divorce, bereavement, anything, we get them then, they are the people that we can really, really impact.
Let's talk about it as a concept, because you came to me very early doors with this. And I think, was it before you got pregnant? Would we have talked about this early on?
I thought about it for a long time.
Yeah, I remember you used to mention things, and you had this thing that to help people with mental health, they needed to exercise and they needed to have some counselling to help to back that up.
Yeah.
You felt you'd got the gym.
Yeah.
All you needed was to convert a room and get some counsellors in it.
Yeah.
And that's what you kept talking about and talking about. I remember you come in with the name.
Yeah.
So is that something to do with, at one point we talked on the other episode about, the first episode about you sitting in your car on a motorway bridge.
Yeah.
And then you come.
And as well, as again, my funny brain, I quite often picture things and see things. And what seems to happen with mental health at the minute, mental illness, is you're stood at the edge of this cliff, right? And right down the bottom, there's psychiatric referral and being admitted to a hospital and we are just waiting. People are stood there going, right, life is on the other side of this big old cavern. I either need to slip all the way down, hit the bottom, get some support, and then hope that I can climb up out the other side.
Yeah.
Or I need a bridge.
Yeah.
So I'd really rather not hit the bottom.
Yeah.
Because there's a chance I'm not going to get out.
Well, it's exhausting.
It's exhausting. But some people will slip the whole way down. This is what I did. All the way down. Obviously, I stopped just before being admitted. But that was where I at. And by the grace of you and lots of other people that supported me, I climbed out. But literally, is it 150 people a week?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Are sliding down, hitting the bottom and not getting out.
Yeah.
And it's just not okay. And for me, metaphorically, I was like, I just wish there was something that was like, you know what? Let's skip that bit. Let's not hit the bottom.
Yeah.
It's still a journey. It's still a process. It's still scary. You've got to go through mental illness.
It's still not easy.
It's not easy, but you can cross it.
But you've made it probably a bit easier.
To bridge the gap.
Yeah. Because there used to be a saying, I know when I was training to be a counsellor years ago, there used to be a saying about, people with mental health or depression or whatever, sometimes they've got to get to the bottom. Yeah. They've got to get into the big black hole for it to be really bad to get them out. And I don't believe that is the case for everybody. And I think you've proven with what you're doing, you can take the bridge.
As long as people are... It's people knowing and wanting to help themselves.
Yeah.
So that's the thing with people hitting the bottom. Is once you're in the bottom, you definitely want to get out. Most people want to get out. What we find is you can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped. And quite often it's really difficult, but we have friends or parents or, employers messaging us and saying, can you support this person? I'm like, they need to fill the form in themselves. Are they receptive to, being helped? And they're like, oh no, they don't want. And I'm like, we can't do it. Cannot. Well, it's just so, we're not the right service to help people who don't want to be helped.
Yeah.
But the people who are just stood on the edge going, I can feel myself slipping. I don't want to go down there. I just want to get better. How do I get better?
Yeah.
We bridge the gap with those people.
Chewing the Cud at Halton Farms.
So tell me, because obviously I know everything about it.
How it grew.
But if I was somebody sitting here now, tell me what bridging the gap is, what the actual concept is.
So bridging the gap it's still growing and adapting. At the minute, what we do is people can be signposted, they apply online, anyone who's struggling with their mental health, and we will fund for them, or they can partially fund or self-fund 6 sessions of counselling and physical exercise. Now, when I first started the programme, it was 6 sessions of counselling and 3 sessions a week of like either one-to-one training or a gym membership or whatever.
Yeah.
It has changed and grown now. So what essentially happens is they get their 6 sessions of counselling and they get a pot of funding to be used towards physical therapy.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody wants a community gym membership with that, then obviously it will go towards a membership and that might last for 6 months.
Yeah.
If they're too nervous to go into classes and they don't want to be around people yet, we'll fund one-to-one sessions. Obviously, they're a bit more expensive, so it doesn't fund quite as many.
Yeah.
But usually what we try and do is by the time they've had 6 weeks of counselling and 6 weeks of one-to-one sessions, they're kind of ready to go into that group. And then that is the beauty of this, is the long-term coping mechanism.
Okay.
Because you can't really be in counselling forever.
Yeah.
But you can be a member of a gym forever.
Yeah.
You should exercise for the rest of your life.
Well, yeah. For health benefits as well as mental health. It's for your physical health.
And that's what we do. We teach and we teach people how to manage their mental health through diet, because you'll get a lot of nutrition support when you join, when you get paired with a trainer or in a gym. We teach them how to manage their mental health through exercise. They'll get lots of coping mechanisms and support on managing their mental health through their counsellor. They will meet new people and be part of a community, which is really important. And I think, tying it into why I'm talking to you today, that's why I think we're seeing a lot of farmers and providing so much support to farmers, is because we are giving them access to a whole other branch of support that they didn't even know was there.
Yeah.
They didn't even know they needed or wanted.
Yeah. And probably as well, because we exercise every day, because we're on the yard, we're physical, we're doing stuff. We think we're exercising.
But it's different.
But it's very different.
It's created equal.
Yeah.
And, just sometimes getting people off the farm for an hour a day, a bit more by the time they've travelled. We will find a gym close to them. But
yeah, I was going to say that. What if there's two things I want to know. I want to know, how does the counselling get delivered? Have I got to physically go somewhere?
Yeah.
And what if I live in Cornwall?
Okay, so
because you're in Congleton, let's remember.
So when I started the charity, it was just going to be Congleton. I just thought, God, if I can just help people in Congleton, that'll be great. So I bought the gym and then put a counselling room upstairs, and that is literally with just the people out of Congleton. Basically, I paid a counsellor to come in once a week. I had like maybe 4 or 5 people initially, and I was doing a lot back now, and it's really bad, but was doing the PT sessions for free because the CIC didn't have any money and was just paying the counsellor to come in, and we were just doing Congleton. And then people started to reach out from a little bit further afield, and I thought, right, well, I can't expect people from Chester to drive to Congleton, so I'll find gyms over that way. And I actually had a lady from Sandbach who was struggling with transport, and so I said, you know what, I'll find your gym in Sandbach. And the counselling can either be via Zoom, telephone call. If you want it in person, I will find you a counsellor that you can have sessions in person within a reasonable distance to you. Like we do as much as we can to make it work. Obviously, the physical therapy has to be in person. We have gyms all over the country now already that are already signed up, but that is, again, the main part of my job role now is driving around all over the country, making sure we've got gyms everywhere.
But the other thing for me is you personally go and assess those gyms, don't you? Yeah. And you've turned people down before. You've gone into a gym and thought, no, this isn't going to be right.
I turned 2 down in Scotland the other day. That wasn't right.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to put into words what it is that makes a gym right. Because it's so many small things that unless you are a person who have struggled with anxiety or is terrified, and for me, I have to be really mindful of it, because now I visit so many gyms, I've almost become a bit more accustomed to just walking into a new gym. Yeah. And I have to be very mindful of, right, if I'm a brand new person who's absolutely on the edge and my sat nav doesn't take me straight to this gym, I'm not going.
Yeah.
If I walk in and I can't work out where the reception is or who's in charge, I'm going to feel like an idiot. I'm going to walk back out.
Well, it'll be that corridor thing again, won't it?
Yeah.
If that receptionist isn't...
If I walk in and I get glared at by someone doing something, it just looks at me like I'm, poo on the shoe. I'm going to walk out. So it's all things like that. And this is why I handpick them. And if somebody goes on our website, fills in the form, applies to do a program, and there's basically a drop-down menu, alphabeticalized, of all the gyms we have. If your area is not listed, there's an option, my area is not listed, and within 2 weeks, I'll have you a gym in your area.
Wow.
You can start.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I've not failed yet.
No, we know. And I know from being involved, the dedication and the driving and the going all over the country that you do.
It's up my life, and I'm like, right.
Yeah, I know. And you've got a child. Yeah. So we can't forget you've got a little boy as well and a partner. And, you moved house not that long ago. Yeah.
Run 2 gyms.
So the passion you have and the drive is quite phenomenal, but you do operate on quite a high sort of scale, I suppose, don't you? You multifunction a lot. And
I think, I saw something that was on a podcast the other day, when you have been through something, like a near-death experience or a huge amount of trauma, you start looking for more out of life. And that's what I do now. I'm not interested in making loads of money. I'm not interested in having a big house or a fancy car. I'm interested in finding more out of life. And that, it sounds very philosophical and profound. It's not. It's just that when you've lost all purpose in life, helping other people, there's nothing comparable to it for me. It's what gets me up in the morning. Obviously, like, I've got my little boy and he's fab, and I have other things in my life that I love. But I always say this about when I was in my old job, I between that and doing bits of other work, I was quite well paid. And I loved handbags and shoes. And
I remember that.
Yeah, I loved handbags and shoes. And that's great. And you buy yourself, you work really hard and you save up and you buy yourself a really nice bag. And every time you get that bag out, you get this little like, oh, that's really nice and it feels good.
But it's only for a very short
amount of time. The difference between that and the other day, I had to interview some people that have been through the programme for a documentary thing we're making. And I cried 8 times. Like these people just sitting there going, you saved my life. Like my little girl's still got a mum because you're here. Like I found purpose in my life again. Like I just didn't think that I wanted to live and now I do. And I'm just like, crying my eyes out. I can't believe that I've done this. And it's a thing. It was just this idea that like, I just thought, and it's amazing how it's grown. It was like, it was just for Congleton. And then it was going to just be for vet practices originally. I was like, I'll just do this for vets. I'll do it for the vets in Congleton. And I was like, maybe I'll do it for the vets all over. Yeah. And then it was just like, it just grew.
And I know that you're not a person that needs a lot of gratification.
I hate it.
Because you hate it. You shy away from it. You don't like having a hug.
Oh, Cal, the other night I went to a wedding. And I said, Kieran, he's one of the first people that ever came through the programme. His partner, Sophie, if you go on our social media, you'll see I made a video about it. His partner, Sophie, messaged us and said he's been on a wait list for ages. He's really struggling. The relationship was breaking down. He was in a really bad place. And we got him on the programme and got him helped. And he invited us to go to his wedding. And I went, and his mum, bless her, stood up and was like, we need to make a toast to Vicky. And I was like, I could have got under the table. Honestly, I wanted the world to swallow. I hate it.
I know.
That's not why I'm here. Like, you don't need to do that. Oh, God.
And that's what I love about you. You're so authentic. And I know, genuinely, you do not do this. You are. I know.
Awful.
And I know you don't do this for people to go, oh, you're really good at that. Whereas I go out to be I want to be the best farmer ever. Yeah. And I want to have the most healthiest cows ever and the highest welfare in the world. But I go out to do that. One, for my cows. Yeah. I want my cows to be the happiest cows because I just want them to be that. But I do like it when somebody goes, oh, wow, you're a really good farmer. I love that, but you absolutely, I would have you coil up, you hate it. I know you do.
And I really struggle with it. And even now, like we had that conversation before, because like, it's your charity. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, it is your charity. You are the charity. And I know, and we invest in you. Yeah. People invest in you. So being a trustee, I was never not going to do that. It was an actual honour and a privilege when you asked me, because I know how dedicated you are and why you do this and that you want to help people. And I want to make sure you can keep doing that. And I'll do everything we can.
What is it? My therapist said to me once, there's very few acts that are truly altruistic. And realistically, I love doing it because I love the feeling it gives me. And I also realised the other day when I guess this is an empath thing. When I find out about that someone has died of suicide, I feel it. I feel it really, really hard. We lost someone quite recently in the agricultural community, very local to here. And I drove past their farm on the way to a really, really important meeting with a huge corporate sponsor. And I turned up with mascara smudged down my face because I cried my eyes out. I'm not close to that person at all. I've seen him a few times at 21st and, Dairy Queen balls and stuff. But just knowing that somebody has died, I feel it in my heart, and it just makes me so sad.
And also, it was so close that if you could have spoken to that person or if you knew anything about that,
Again, it's dead difficult because we're an early intervention service.
Yeah.
We have to be really careful about who we work with. Once people are really, really poorly, they're beyond our remit, and that's all to do with red tape and safeguarding us and safeguarding the counsellors and safeguarding people. Technically, if somebody's that poorly, we should just send them to A&E. But it's, again, the charity is growing now rapidly. We've got a board meeting on Friday where we need to talk about whether we are actually more of an advanced service, because it is almost impossible, and it's why I've had to step away from client journey management, when our counsellors triage someone and say this person's very high risk, they're very poorly, they're beyond our remit. Technically, we're supposed to go, we need to signpost you to other services, and that just means A&E.
Yeah, and that signposting bit is the bit where we lose control and it can all go wrong.
Well, you're signposting to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I love this word, signposted. Signposts are supposed to lead to places.
Yeah.
Signposts aren't supposed to just go to nowhere.
No.
Not to a packed A&E waiting room where you're going to...
And also, do we know they're taking that journey?
No, probably not. It's just hard. And I had to come away from client journey management a little bit because I just care so much. And that will always be, I will always work in this charity. And like, that's why I work on the ground in the charity now. I don't sit up above it and just watch what goes on. I'm in it and I'm on the ground with it every day.
But that's where we need you, because that's where your passion and your heart is. If I was a gym, or if I'm somebody listening to this and I own a gym or have a close friend with a gym, and I think they'd be good at being part of this, how would I go about that, or how would I get involved?
Our website. It's dead easy to fill out.
Tell me what the website is.
btg-mindmatters.org.
Okay. So anybody can go to that website.
Is it a hyphen or a dash?
It's a hyphen.
It's a hyphen, yeah. .org, just .org. You go to the website. It's called Physical Therapy Onboarding. You fill out an application. We'll take on individual PTs. We'll take on gyms. Each client comes with £400 of funding. And we'll pay for their sessions, basically. I think what's really important, and I like this about the charity, so when I first started, all sessions were just fully funded. I applied to places like National Lottery, Comic Relief, etc., who are brilliant and got funding. And it was all completely free. And it was actually a farmer who, he's quite local, came to the programme. He was really struggling, just got a lot of family dynamic stuff going on, milk price, TB, everything. And he said, I don't want charity. He's like, I want help, but I won't accept charity. I was like, oh, you pay for it if you want then.
Yeah, and a bit more if you want.
Like, it's £750.
Yeah.
It'll cost me £750 to sort out the programme, put you through counselling and pay for the funding for the exercise sessions. He was like, no problem, let me pay it. Paid it. And I think for men and farmers, if you don't want charity, you don't have to have it. You can pay for it if you want. Absolutely. You can pay for a bit of it. If you haven't got £750, but you want to feel like you're doing something to help yourself and you're quite proud, absolutely fine. Pay me £10 a week.
But when you look at it, you say £750. So £750 can sound like a lot of money.
Yeah, over 6 weeks, that is.
But to get you in a much more mentally fit state and also healthier in your body.
And also, as an employer,
it's nothing as an employer.
Right, you ring, you get in touch with BTG, you say, I've got a member of staff, he's off with stress, got some personal stuff going on, going through a divorce or whatever. And I go, well, for £750, I've got an 80% chance of having him back in work in 6 weeks.
It's a no-brainer.
It's cheap. It's cheap.
And I have used your programme, or our programme. I've used it and it's worked. Yeah. It's worked phenomenally. And I've also, have done the other side of it where somebody didn't do the exercise and did the counselling bit, and that equally, it did work. But I think the two hand in hand, definitely.
I think people, especially farmers, they've got to be in the right place to do it. So the biggest problem we have with farmers is getting them to make the time to do the physical therapy and the counselling. And I get it. Trust me, I know how busy everyone is. But if you don't make time for your wellness, you will have to make time for your illness.
I like that.
That is it.
I like that. That's very true.
Getting off your farm for an hour and a bit, 2 or 3 times a week, having some counselling, going and just seeing and
meeting some different people that aren't from in farming.
I said this the other day for that Cheshire Life interview. This gap between urban community and rural, we've got to close it down. We've got to close it for so many reasons. That some of the biggest ones, I think every single person, every single farmer, person in the agricultural community should have at least one friend that's totally urban.
Yeah.
Right. Just for a different perspective on it.
I know.
Just to understand what other people see, to understand different points of view, and as well for I say this a lot, but the people that make the change, the people that make the rules, the people that put all this stress, are they agricultural or are they urban? Do they understand what's going on? These politicians.
They haven't got a clue.
Spent a day on a farm.
DEFRA. Lots of they don't understand because they make a lot of decisions sitting in offices, not actually being on the ground.
If we're not encouraging urban population to be on farms and look at farms, this farm's exceptional. The fact that even now I'm a bit like, God, it's just mad that you just let people, when they come into the milk shack, the cows are right there.
Yeah.
They're right there. And it's where they're carving and it's where they are cleansing.
Yeah.
And so some of the really like nitty gritty parts of farming, the calves are right there.
Yeah.
The parlour is visible.
Yeah.
That is so important. And again, until you hang out with people who are urban population, we're numb to it.
Well, we don't realise what a massive gap there is. And I think
it's huge.
We did Open Farm Sunday last year. You know, we had 1,000 people on.
Yeah.
Having a look around, I only expected about 200 and we ended up with 1,000. But it was amazing. You know, we started milking the cows and you just think everybody knows how you milk a cow or what goes on because they see it on telly, you think.
Yeah.
And we milked down one side of the parlour and we were going to do it for an hour or two for people to watch. We ended up from the start to the end of milking, only being able to, because we couldn't get people. And then people were complaining afterwards that they couldn't get in to see the milking because there was too many people stood there. And some people stood for the whole milking and it really annoyed other people. You know, people still come to the milk shack and say,
somehow there's a labour shortage.
Yeah.
Imagine, like people would pay you to come and do this.
I know.
Pay you to come and milk cows.
I know, but the insurance company doesn't like it. Health and safety are not on it, let me tell you, because I've looked at it. You know, people come in to do it.
But
cow cuddling.
We made it more accessible.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we wouldn't have a labour shortage because farming's really hard, but I just think, God, and it's such a, when you bring someone onto your team who's got a totally different set of life experiences and a different perspective, it's incredible the things that can happen.
Yeah.
And like, I get this thing of like wanting a counsellor who is perhaps, I know there's a few charities that make sure that the counsellor or the volunteer you get put to is someone out of the agricultural community so they get it. And sometimes I'm a bit like, do you know what? No. Because when you tell someone that you've not had a holiday for 20 years and they're in the agricultural community, they'll go, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's the norm.
You tell someone from the urban, they'll go, what are you doing?
Why would you do that?
Ridiculous. Get a grip.
And you don't make any money.
Yeah. So actually sometimes just having someone who's totally outside the box who goes, well, you can't do that.
No, it's not right.
That's not okay.
And that's why your mental health might not be great.
Yeah, that's not normal and that's not okay. And you can't do that. And sometimes it's actually really good to have.
Vix, what's next for BTG?
So get into the financial stability.
Yeah.
So the biggest problem with our charity is that we provide a service. And, I've been in the sector quite a few years now, and there's a lot of charities out there that raise awareness and they absolutely have a place, but their running costs, it doesn't really cost them that much. They do a campaign or they do this or they do that, they pay their staff and that's it. Our problem is that, each programme costs £750 to run, and we're in this chicken and egg situation where we need to tell people the charity exists to try and get more sponsors, to try and get more support, donations, volunteers, etc. But every single time we put the charity out there and tell people it exists, we get people reaching out for support. And that's tricky because we don't have lots of money. So getting financial security, we've just started what's called the Pay It Forward programme, which it's taken me a long time to develop this because I knew that I wanted to make it so that, because do you remember when I said I started it and it was supposed to be for employers? Yeah. I'm still really mindful that there's a huge gap, that it's a new cash cow for training providers at the minute to offer like mental health first aid courses. And again, the problem with them is a mental health first aid course will train you to signpost to where. Yeah. So, and there's a lot of providers that are going, right, well, we provide mental employee assist programs that provide counselling and things like that. But from the feedback we've had from people that have accessed the programme who've been signposted to those, they're just missing the mark a bit. They're like, not enough of it, or they're too much, or they're just not hitting the mark, or you've got to go through your line manager to get it, or, there's just problems with them. So I knew what we did was really good, but I wanted to be very specific about how we did it. So what we do now is the Pay It Forward programme. So employers can make a monthly donation to BTG. And there's like, you can pay for a programme a month, you can pay for 10 programmes a month, whatever. There's loads of different amounts. What happens to that money is it's ring fenced to your employees if they need it. So anytime someone's struggling, they can anonymously just get support through the programme. If they don't need it, what we'll do is in your local community, so like say you did it, it would be like Congleton, Sandbach. Yeah. If it's not used by you, we will give it out for people in the community to use it. And we will let them know that their place is sponsored by Halton Farms.
Wow.
And that's enormous.
Yeah, that's huge.
Massive.
That's huge.
For a company.
It's our social responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And that, it took me a while to come up with how I wanted to do it, to make it accessible for small businesses, medium businesses, and large businesses, and make sure that we can, have the capacity. But we've got a really great counselling team. We've got lots of gyms, and it's like my full-time job now is to keep recruiting gyms.
Yeah.
We're starting to grow. We've had some big corporate sponsors come on recently into the Pay It Forward program.
Yeah.
That are pretty amazing. So it's just securing financial stability to make sure I never, ever, ever want someone to come to this program and me to have to go, I'm really sorry, we've got no money, I can't pay for it. Yeah. Because what I will do is, as always, I would just go back to, I'd be like, right, well, I'll do your PT sessions for free.
Yeah.
And I'll find a counsellor. Like, I'll just pay for it.
And we'll do a charity fundraiser, which you've done loads of, haven't we? We've done some on the farm. You've had, people coming and running around the farm and having competitions, and we'll do, whatever happens, I know you, and I know you will make it work.
Yeah. We need to make sure the charity is financially stable.
Yeah.
And then, just keep growing, just keep helping people.
So for anybody out there, anybody in a business that's looking to do a Pay It Forward scheme or feel that they've got an employee, they're just a bit worried about them, they're struggling.
For an employee.
Just do it that way. But anybody else listening as well who wants to access that help. So you haven't just got to be a farmer. It just happens. There's a lot of farmers we do help as well. We also help loads of other people from all different walks of life.
Yeah.
If at this point you're thinking, I want to know a bit more about BTG, Bridging the Gap charity, I want to know how I access this, or whichever way, we've got Facebook.
Yeah, Instagram.
Website. We've got the website.
We've got TikTok, but
whereas for us, we love TikTok and it works really well. But
it just, that's one of the things that messes with mental health.
TikTok.
Social media's got a
massive,
huge responsibility for this. Yeah. I struggle with insomnia anyway, and I would just get myself in a scroll.
You're like nocturnal.
Yeah. And I just had to come off it. And at the minute, so this is the thing we're struggling with. Like, we would love a volunteer to run our social media.
Any volunteers out there?
Yes.
Don't look at Leah. She's doing mine. I'm training to be a vet, and she's my head calf rearer. I don't think she can fit it in, if I'm honest. In fact, now her colostrum is coming in to feed calves right now, and she's sitting here pushing buttons up and down, going, oh no, I should be feeding calves.
Yeah. For us, like, we don't need, at the minute, we don't have capacity for like hundreds of volunteers. But there is just bits of support that we could do with. The program's open to anyone. There is the thing of, if you are employed and you have got a job, then you have to make some kind of contribution, but it can be like £1 a week. Other than that, your program's fully funded. If you're off sick or not employed, we'll fully fund your program. Your employer can fund it. Like, we can talk to employers about it, etc. It's dead easy to apply. It's just on the website. Just fill out a quick form. You don't need a referral. You're not going to get interrogated. You just need to be able to commit. You have to want to do it and want to get better, and like accept that, if it is that you're a farmer, you will have to come away from the farm for a couple of hours a week to do it. But that's part of it. Yeah. It's just a bit of a fresh view on the world.
Fantastic, Vix. It's amazing. It's amazing what you're doing. I really wanted to get you on here.
Yeah.
Because I want everybody to know. Everywhere I go, I tell everybody, I want everybody to know. I hope your passion has come across, which I know it has. I'm sure it has.
I really
I'm watching Leah, and all the time she's nodding, going, wow. She's nodding, because Leah didn't know this much of the story.
Okay.
She just sees me disappear sometimes, going, I'm going to one of Vix's trustee meetings, I'm going to Bridging the Gap. And so I want everybody to know your passion and believe that I know you, and you will not succeed.
No, I'll make it work.
You are going to make it work. Yeah. You're going to help hundreds and hundreds of more people in the process.
Yeah.
I'm extremely proud to be a part of it. And I thank you for asking me and letting me to be a part of it.
Okay.
And between us all and the rest of the trustees, who are also amazing, because they give up all their time too, totally free. And they're extremely passionate, just like you and me, and making this work. And I just want to say thank you. And I also want to say, well done. You are a superstar. Oh. And I know you're going red and you're cringing and you hate it, but you have achieved something phenomenal. And I want you to be so proud of yourself. But thank you so much for being so honest, so open. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's been amazing to chat. It's reminded me of a lot of stuff, actually, which is great because although I do it, I kind of had forgotten how I arrived here with you.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to hear all that bravery. It's been a journey, but a really good journey.
Yeah.
And I've been really honoured to be on it with you. Thanks.
Chewing the Cud at Halton Farms.
Remember, if you like to hear us chewing the cud at Halton Farms, like and subscribe. We're available on all your favourite podcast platforms. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, TuneIn and YouTube.